Juanita.
Yeah.
So now I've just put this on. Hold on. We're on. So online they'll see this on Sogno da Raccontare, and once this goes live, I'll put it full screen, so you'll just see this, and then on the Youth for United World channel, all of this together will be put on. So your audio and these visuals will be put together and streamed on the Youth for United World page.
Okay, as long as I can hear the Italian.
Yeah, so you have headphones. So the Italian you'll see on your computer. You won't see any audio here because I'll have it muted, so you'll only see the visuals here, but the audio you will see on the other half of your screen.
Yeah, so I can hear you now. Am I looking at your screen? Am I going to be seeing the video on your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. So my YouTube channel, I don't need at all.
You do need the YouTube channel to hear the audio of the Italian.
Okay.
Juanita will be live in 1 minute.
Okay. So, hello everybody, and nice to see you. Here we are for another appointment of the United World Week. It started on the 1st of May and it'll go on until the 7th. And we're going to have a series of events which will show us how a United World is possible. I'm Stefania, and I look after the relationship with the supporters of AMU, Action for a United World, which has been running development cooperation projects for over 30 years. You'll meet some of my colleagues who will link in with us as we go on with the program. Thank you for being part of this moment in which we would like to tell you what we do in the world through our work, and we'll start with a video. So do we have the video? So I think it's coming now. It's difficult to realize a dream. We have our dream in our name, AMU, Action for a United World. We are trying to translate our dream into reality. Start with vulnerable communities and projects of development and global citizenship, respecting all the cultural characteristics and respecting the environment. We put the person at the center. We try to take care of their talents, and we try to have a development which is looks at the whole situation. So we appear to have a problem with the video, in fact. So we look after global development, microcredit, and our projects are inspired by the economy of communion. We support health programs, access to running water, and healthcare. We help where there have been natural disasters. We try to work with the local society and with local communities. We work with businesses, and we work with employment projects. Especially, we work with migrants and refugees. We try to give access to basic services, and we promote human rights and peace through education for global citizenship. Our projects are born from experience. I'm not sure if you have been able to see the video or if we're still trying. Here it is. So it's difficult to realize a dream. Our dream is expressed in our name, AMU, Action for a United World. We try to translate our dream into reality, and we work with the most vulnerable communities with international projects of cooperation and education to global citizenship. We respect all the cultural, economic, and environmental factors. We put the person at the center, who has a great requirement of support to get involved in real projects in order to obtain a full realization. We work with countries who are in great economic need. We try to work for dignified employment and fair wages. We work with integral formation, holistic formation, and we work with the economy of communion, with local associations, health programs, access to drinking water, electricity, and adequate medicines. We work in areas which have suffered natural disasters. We try to rebuild the local economy, and we try to help local communities. We work with families, businesses, organizations. We try to include all those who are challenged and in difficulties, especially migrants and refugees. We try to give basic education to everyone and also university education, and we promote human rights and peace through education for global citizenship. Our way of acting comes from the lifestyle of the Focolare movement, with which we cooperate to spread a culture of dialogue and unity and to develop in communion. Our supporters, our workers, our volunteers, we work together. We try to share what we have and to give hope, because we are brothers and sisters, members of the one human family. A united world. This is our dream. So our dream is a united world. And over the next while, we'd like to tell you how we try to translate this dream of a united world into reality. There is no peace without development. And the motto of our United World Week is "In time for peace." And there is no peace without development. And we are aware of the fact that in the world, not everybody has the same resources, the same rights. Not everybody has a dignified lifestyle. But we can't wait for institutions to resolve this inequality on their own. Each one of us can be a builder of peace and a global citizen, a member of the one human family. Now I would like to ask Katusha, who's the head of education for global citizenship in AMU, what does active citizenship actually mean? Well, thank you, Stefania. And first of all, this question, what does it mean to be an active citizen? It means to have an objective, which is communion, and to promote concrete actions which contribute towards the common good. And especially in our big and small actions, we try to work with others. But the question could be, why? Why do I have to do something? Why me? Well, each one of us is part of a global world. We are interconnected. Our actions are interconnected at a world level. And so our life, our daily choices have a big impact at a global and a local level, especially our economic choices. How many of you would be able to tell me how many clothes you have in your wardrobe and how many you don't wear anymore? Would you be able to tell me? And if you don't wear them anymore, what do you do with them? Well, every adult in the Western world has about 50 dresses. Women can have up to 120. And so there are thousands of garments. You realize that most of the world buys many more clothes than they actually need. And what impact does this have at a global level? Well, the textile industry, there's such a waste of clothes and garments. And as well as that, what can we do with our clothes? If you look at the labels, they say made in different places. Well, many of our clothes come from developing countries, India, Pakistan, China, where workers are paid €1 or €2 a day in order to produce our jeans and our T-shirts. And the major brands, which charge very exorbitant prices compared to what the people are paid and the transport. So these workers have very precarious working conditions, and the rights as workers are not respected, especially and even more so as the rights as human beings. I don't know if you remember that in 2013 in Dhaka in Bangladesh, there was an action. There were 129 people. There was people who were left wounded, and there was a disaster, and shops and houses and people were afflicted. And the people who worked in the clothing industry were able to continue. So my question is, this pandemic, which is on a global level, what can I do myself as a citizen? So my invitation is to start from our daily choices, because every action that we take is a choice. We can choose to buy brands which are ethical. We can choose to buy secondhand clothes. We can give away our extra things. Of course, I'm not trying to give anybody a sense of guilt, but just to make you aware that our choices have an effect and are interconnected at a global level. I would like to quote Gandhi, who said, "Why change the world when we can change ourselves?" It's our actions that count, our thoughts. For they are false pearls if they are not transformed with actions. Be the change that you want to see in the world. To improve our actions and to to support other people, AMU has a simple methodology, which is service learning, which is one of the pillars of the International Living Peace Project that you must have heard about this morning in the link up. And this is the objective, which is run by Youth for Unity. 1, observe. 2, think. 3, involve. And 4, act. 5, evaluate. And 6, celebrate. So some young people who took part in our project, for example, in a school in Rome, they worked in a garden in their local area. Others in Argentina decided to take action to clean the beaches. And there are many other examples of concrete actions on a big or a small level, which are contributing at a local and a global level. And this year, this is why AMU wants to have an online education program for all of those who are interested to learn global citizenship, to learn service learning. It'll be 4 months and it'll be e-learning, and it will give us, we will use some educational techniques in order to ensure that serving others, we can acquire content and we can ourselves take action. So now let's see a little video clip. So global citizen education, learn to serve, serve to learn. Well, oh, how horrible. Where am I going to throw my cam? Well, oh, so much for all of that education about sorting rubbish. Come on, lads, would you help me clean up the park? Of course. Oh, we did a good job, but it really was a big effort. You're right. Now we have a new place to play and we have cleaned up a lot of rubbish. Now that it's all clean, other people can enjoy it as well, and the air is more healthy. Come on, kick it back, kick the ball back. So learn to serve, serve to learn. Thank you, Katusha. Thinking about the conditions of extreme vulnerability that exist in Italy, also in light of the health emergency, which we are experiencing at the moment, one of the ways of realizing our commitment is to try to go personally to build up that network, which not only accepts vulnerability, but includes it. AMU offers a model that involves beneficiaries, business owners, families, associations, and volunteers as co-responsible protagonists in the construction of inclusive societies. We'll talk now to Federica, who's coordinator of the Building Systems Beyond Acceptance program, and she'll tell us what she does. Well, for about a year and a half, I'm coordinating this program. It's a program, it's at a national level. It started in 2016, and it's run by AMU and by New Families and by a cooperative. And the idea is to help the Italian society become more inclusive. So that also vulnerable people, Italians and people from other countries can find a personal, social, and working solution. So the idea is to have systems which go beyond welcoming, and it's directed towards young people to help them to live that phase from going from a reception center to inserting themselves in society. And this is a very delicate moment because a young person becomes an adult, and if they don't have a reference point, they need some tools in order to follow their life plan. So the beneficiary within the program is a protagonist and works to realize his individual journey of insertion into the working force. But there's a phase of collaboration and realization and an accompaniment with people from the surrounding society. So, for example, there's help from cultural mediators, from psychologists who have decided to take part in the program and to offer their services and to help these people. And I'm also talking about what Stefania said. So what she said about families, about associations, about volunteers who are part of the program, and to intervene in the realization of these projects. And how do they do that? Well, according to their particular expertise. And for example, businesses are mostly involved in employment, providing employment or professional formation. For example, they take part in helping people find out what the program offers. Families and volunteers along the years, throughout the years, have become reference points for these young people. They share their free time with them. They invite them for a meal. They invite them for a weekend. They go with them when they have to renew their documents or to find a doctor if they need. So then there are many associations, sports, cultural associations, and they all offer recreation activities, which give the young people in the program the opportunity to take part in situations that they never knew before and to get to know the reality around them. So I say to myself, well, what about this model, this system that we're proposing? From my point of view, I think that it's about giving a concrete possibility to whoever wants to take action to offer what they know to put it at the service of others. And so I can give you some advice. If you go to our Facebook page, you can get to know the young people in our program. And there it tells the stories of the young people. And you can get to know, for example, there's somebody who's in Calabria and who was finally able to buy a motorbike in order to go to work. Or in Modena, one of our young people was looking for somewhere to live, and thanks to our local people, they were able to help. So you can contact us, and if you would like to give part of your time or part of what your expertise, you can become part of the activities. There are a lot of activities in the program. There are many ways to take part in the program. You'll find them all on our site. So you can go to our internet site and you can learn about what we're doing. But if you would like to know more what we're doing, we thought we would share an experience of a girl in Rome who had a work experience in a business in the capital. And she was able to experience, she was able to have a work experience, but also be part of a family. And so this is a very symbolic experience of what our project is doing. So here's the video. So our most recent sister, she's a great girl. She has a beautiful smile, and she is very spontaneous. She responds very well to everything that we ask. She makes a big effort to write questions, and this is part of our formation. This is part of what we do in the New Family Project. So with Massimo, I feel very much at home. I feel that it's a good experience to work. So we can't call IFO a foreigner. We don't have to make any effort to welcome her. We just have to work together. So I was a bit afraid. I was a bit afraid that I might be insulted on the bus. Or Italy is a very welcoming country. Absolutely. So thank you, Federica. And now I would like to go to Africa. An essential feature of AMU projects is the involvement of the beneficiaries and the local communities in all the phases of the project, from conception to realization to evaluation of the results, so that our intervention is not extraneous to the needs of the population. In fact, we don't work with expatriate staff, but we assist the local communities to be both the beneficiaries and the protagonists of their own growth and development. In Burundi, for example, the Water Source of Life project was an important experience of assisting development, which highlighted the potential of an entire community on the Rukanda Hill in Bururi, Burundi. We can see part of it in a video. And then Emanuela, the coordinator of the AMU projects in Africa, will explain why our commitment alongside the population of Rukanda does not end with the availability of water. So we are currently building, we are currently going to the source of the water, and we will build dams and we will build containers. Our main problem is linked to the transport of building materials because it's a very remote location. The only solution is involving the local community. I'm here to give my help so that we can finally have water. As soon as I saw you, I realized I wasn't alone, but that there are many people in the project who support our project to bring water to our homes. We have all been asked to cooperate, and we're happy to do so, giving all our energy. It's very important for us to be like others. I have been working here for a week, and I was thinking of giving up. But then I saw a woman with a bottle, and she was collecting water from the river, and the water was very dirty. So I said to myself, I will only leave this village when this lady, and in fact the whole community, has access to clean water. I also said, just as I have water, it's right that they have water. And this is one of the ways that we can build a united world. So Thank you. This video is a small part of the big job that we have done in Burundi over 2 years, AMU, and with local partners, with Kazobu. So we built 23 kilometers of a hydroelectric plant, which gives power to thousands of people. And so this is a human right, and previously it was impossible to think that it might be possible. AMU and Kazobu, when they intervene in a context, they do it according to a global project, a holistic project, which means that we begin from the right to having water to starting a process with the local people and helping them to rediscover their own resources, their personal resources and the external resources, exploring, getting to know the area, getting to know the people, the nature, the environment. AMU in Burundi, as well as this project, Water Source of Life, within the project, it has also progressed very important educational projects about hygiene, but also how to manage structures. AMU has taken care of hygiene, of environment, building ecological latrines, which, as well as respecting the environment, become an opportunity to have a fertilizer, which is fundamental for agriculture. AMU has worked in this context together with the local administration and government. And this is to have an institutional link so that the project can be sustainable over time. These partners have been involved from the beginning, from the planning stage, right up to the end. And this allows them to continue to support and to look after the structures. The fundamental thing about this project is microcredit. Microcredit is the best example of the approach that AMU takes, because it allows an internal and external regeneration with microcredit, which accompany all AMU's projects. People not only have the opportunity to begin an activity which allows them to earn something and to generate profit and to support their family, but they rediscover their potential. And then they are able to put it at the service of the whole community. This means personal empowerment, but also empowerment of the whole community. People become resources for themselves and for others. So this is to show that AMU and Kazobu's intervention is not only linked to providing water, but water is the starting point, which allows people to discover their potential and to strengthen them. And it becomes an important value, which is then to the advantage of the whole community. Thank you. Thank you, Emanuela. We know that from Kazobu, they are connected. We would like to greet them, and they are available to answer any questions that you might like to send us, or if you'd like to send. Kazobu is the local agency in Burundi. Can you introduce yourselves? So I'm the director of Casobu. I'm Cretin. I'm an assistant for the programs. I'm Amandine. I'm the responsible for communications. And so they will answer any questions that you might have. You can send your questions, you can write your questions. Thanks, Emanuela. So as we have seen, development and social justice are two essential elements for building peace concretely. In countries with great economic difficulties, AMU, with the collaboration of the economy of communion companies, helps people and communities in situations of vulnerability to develop professional skills aimed towards job placement and the creation of small businesses that focus on the care of the person and the environment before profit. There are projects in South America which illustrate this, and we're going to ask Leah, who's our contact for Latin America, and she'll take us on a journey from Argentina to Brazil and finally to Ecuador. Thank you, Stefania. So good evening, everybody, and greeting to everybody who's linked up. So the economy of communion is linked to different projects here, and I'd like to tell you in Argentina, for example, in the northeast of Argentina, we are involved in a project which is supporting some communities, rural communities, to bring ahead projects of tourism in a sustainable way, which allows them to protect their tradition, their culture, and also the environment. So this is a project in Argentina, sustainable tourism, in other words. In Brazil, there is a project which strengthens businesses of communion. And this project is like an incubator project, which helps business people get their businesses going. So there are people who are in a very precarious situation and they would like to start a business, but they don't have all the elements, educational elements and other elements. So they are helped in this process, or to support people who have a business and then to help them to offer products which are suitable and accessible to people in difficulty. And then there are business people who employ people who are vulnerable. And in this way, they promote an expansion of solidarity and of growth within the local community. In Cuba, there's a similar project which is based on education of people who are interested in the economy of communion. It's offering an alternative way of living economy. It's provoking great interest, and it's helping business people to begin some economic activities. In Mexico, There's also a project which is directed at young people and adults who are leaving dependence on drugs or alcohol and trying to start a new life. So this is Refuge of Hope, and it offers these young people and adults a new opportunity for social reintegration and offers them employment so that they can begin this new stage in their lives. And finally, then we have a project in Ecuador. Following the earthquake in 2016, the Focolare movement started to help 3 communities in the zone which was affected the most. And so I would like to invite Sir Angelo, who's the coordinator of the project there, to tell us about it. So he'll tell us the experience of these of this project. Thank you, Stefania. Sir Angelo, are you there?
Ciao a tutti.
So hello, everybody.
Io mi chiamo Sir Angelo.
I'm Sir Angelo. I'm living in Ecuador, and I'd like to tell you about our experience. As Leah said, the project started with a disaster that we had in 2016. And this region is called Esmeralda, and it's an Afro-American project. There have been a lot of problems, especially economic problems. It's the poorest part of Ecuador. And since the earthquake took place, we went to get to know these people, and different people that we know from different parts of the world in the movement began to help us, to send us some support for these people. So we went to listen, to spend time with them, to build a relationship. And when we finished this experience, we realized that we really didn't know what to do. We didn't have an answer for them. So we understood that the only thing that we could do was to work with them. And so our project began. Working with them wasn't always easy. There were highs and lows, but we are building something new, and it's a beautiful experience. We see there are various members of the community who are starting to change lifestyle, who are starting to improve in their work and in their family relationship, in the relationship with their neighbors in their area, where there were a lot of tensions after the earthquake. We have run various courses to help the people, to help them grow in empowerment and family management and personal relationship building, many courses. And we are beginning to see some results. One day I was there with the community, and a lady of about 60 arrived and said, "Listen, come with me. I want to show you something." And a year and a half ago, do you remember? You taught us about saving and about looking after our family economy. Well, come, I want to show you something. So I went with her to a little house, and she said, "This is the result of what you shared with me, with what you showed me how to do. I learned how to save. Now I have a little house, and if God wants, I'll soon be able to have a door and a window." This is some of the experience that we have with the local community. Then there are many activities, but most important for us is the person. We try to discover how to grow together then the activities happen, but together with them. And we learn together how to go forward. We have various activities, education for children. We have biological vegetable gardens. We have care for the environment. We have recreational activities, family education. We have social, economic, many projects. But we have also worked at the level of small micro projects where we worked with them to give dignity of life and hope in life, because after the earthquake, everything died. After this, we were able to help them grow in their capacity building. We opened a bakery, a hairdressers, and we built parks. We built places where the children could play. Now we have had to close everything because of the virus, and we're trying to help people learn how to deal with the situation of the virus. So they're going ahead, and we're looking for people who can help them. They're producing 700 loaves a day, and they're trying to support people and disadvantaged families. So this is a little bit about the experience that we have. So thank you, Sir Angelo, and thank you, Leah. So after all of these after all of this, we still have a question. Are we in time? Are we still in time to bring peace between nations that are still at war? We know that peace is not just an absence of violence, but it requires a dynamic and a participative process. So how can we be peacemakers for a state that is not our own? We wanted to conclude by saying something about what we're doing in Syria. That started with the local people during the war. And today we would like everybody to do their part. For example, by informing ourselves about the issues, not remaining at a superficial level, but asking the right questions, even if these are uncomfortable. We'd like to ask Francesco Tortorella, who's the head of the AMU project sector. We'd like to ask him to tell us about his personal experience and about what he has learned during these 9 years of war in Syria and how each of us can give our contribution. So thank you, Stefania, and greetings to all of you. So we are looking after international cooperation, but we do it in a particular way. It's not enough to have development projects. We want to have experiences of reciprocal gift. We want to do to the others what we would like to be done to us. We want to love the other country as our own. At the beginning of the war in Syria, we started to support and to help the population that was suffering because of the conflict. I went there twice, the second time a few months ago, and I understood that loving the other country as one's own means getting to know the other country and trying to understand it. What do we know about Syria in Europe? We know what we hear in the news, that Syria has had a war since 2011, and the Syrians are suffering because of their president and his allies. This is what all the mass media tell us still today. There have been 2 documentaries which have been submitted for the Oscars, which tell this story. But there is a problem here. When everybody thinks the same thing, nobody thinks very much about it, as a reporter once said. We don't need answers which are all the same. The questions are more important than the answers. So I asked some questions to get to know, to understand, and to love the Syrians better. So whose war is this? Who's fighting it? Many of the people that I spoke to have clear memories of unexpectedly seeing people arrive, strangers who spoke other languages, and within a few months in 2011, 45,000 soldiers, armed soldiers, mercenaries came to Syria. Where did they come from? How did they get in? So I went to read in a dictionary the definition of mercenary, and I read professional soldiers who, for money, fight battles in another country. So these mercenaries, who is paying them? Who spent $10 billion to pay mercenaries? Who's sending them and why? I read magazines, political magazines, and I see that in Syria, there's the presence of armies from half the world. So it's a world war, as Pope Francis said. And what have the Syrians got to do with all of these? I tried to look around to try to see if there was similar situations anywhere else. And I thought of Iraq, which is very close, Afghanistan, which have become places of international war just out of nothing. And I remember that Syria is at the west of Iran, and Afghanistan is at the east of Iran, and Syria is the main ally of Iran. So the war is against Iran. So what happened to Iraq and Afghanistan after the armies of half the world went into action there? Do we really want the same thing to happen in Syria? Sometimes we appeal to the International War Court to accuse the Syrian president. I say to myself, this International War Court, should it try to find who's paying the mercenaries to destroy Syria or not? Or are these people who are paying too high to be found? And other countries in the world, for example, the Popular Republic of China, don't they have a government, a regime, a dictatorship? And does somebody try to arrest the head of the China or try to find out what's going on there? No, because China's too strong. So is it right to destroy a country only when it's a weak country and not when it's a strong country? So we are really living the law of the strongest. So, and who is gaining? Not the population, not the local population. So this is what started to happen for me. All these questions came up. I tried to understand what are the tools that I can use to build peace. The international embargo imposed by the United States and Europe against the Syrian population to affect its president is not an instrument to build peace. This embargo does not prevent weapons arriving to Syria, but it prevents economic aid arriving, medicine and equipment to look after the health of the people, including the coronavirus. So all our projects in Syria, we started an international appeal to remove the embargo on Syria. He must have switched off his microphone.
Robert?
Ho dimenticato di accendere il microfono, scusate.
So,
mi chiamo Robert.
this is Robert. I'm from Syria. I'm from Aleppo and I'm living in Aleppo. Francesco surprised me because he spoke about other things. So with regard to the embargo, for over a year, there's no fighting in about 80% of Syria, where the Syrian army is in control. But the war is not over, because Francesco just explained that there are still armed groups, illegal groups, which are present on the Syrian territory. There are Turks, Americans, who are exploiting the oil fields. And so we don't have petrol, we don't have electricity constantly. So we need to remove the embargo because economic life needs to start up again. After many years of war, the people are very poor. Economic life is zero. We need funds, we need finance to start economic life again. And what does this mean? It means opening the factories again, beginning industry, beginning to rebuild the country. Because during the war, during all these years, there has been a lot of destruction. Factories, industries, schools, hospitals, infrastructure. So you can understand that without funding, without money, we won't be able to get the economy going again. And the economy allows people to live. Because here, many people are unemployed. There are small activities. There are people who work for the state. But because of the economic life, which is not very good, our money has been devalued. It was 10 times less than it should be. Now I think it's 13. So before war, I earned $800. Now my salary is about 25. So you can understand that with $50, if a kilo of meat costs $18, with a wage of $50 or $60, a family of 4 people with children, they can't survive. So it's very important for economic life to begin again. And the problem of the embargo, first of all, it's forbidden to send raw material, to send medicine. Many hospitals, especially with the epidemic of the coronavirus, many hospitals do not have equipment. They're not able to test people. They don't have conditions to deal with the emergency. So they don't have equipment. They don't have health equipment, supplies, medicine, and then transferring money through the banks is forbidden. So if you try to send money to Syria, it'll be sent back. Many beneficiaries, many people in the world, in Europe, who would like to help the people here are not able to do so because they can't send money to Syria. Many organizations like AMU or other organizations who need money to support their projects here they can't do it. Well, we were able to do something. Up to now, we managed to do something because some money came through the banks in Lebanon. But since October 2009, there has been a crisis in Lebanon. And so there too, we find that we don't have any money. So we have to remove the embargo, absolutely, so that money can come into Syrian banks and economic life can start again. So Francesco, this is my response to you, because poverty is increasing. And since we're talking about peace and justice, I would like to say that the embargoes have never resolved political problems anywhere in the world. If you go to see, there has never been a solution because of an embargo. So the first embargo should be with countries who are producing weapons and who are sending weapons to our country to promote the war. So that's the embargo that we should have, because otherwise this is hypocrisy. Maybe Stefania can say something more about the appeal to remove the embargo, but we absolutely have to have an embargo on those countries that are producing weapons and sending them to countries. So thank you, Roberto. The appeal is on the AMU website. If you go to our website, you will see that you can access the petition, and you can read why we are having this petition, and you can sign the petition on the site, which is called change.org. So thank you. Thanks, everybody. I would like to pass the link up to Juliana, who I think has been able to compile some of the questions which have come on YouTube. Okay, thank you, Stefania. So first of all, let me tell you the WhatsApp number if you want to contact us. So 377-1672-304. That's the with +39 if you're. So there are some questions on YouTube. Katusha, maybe I can ask you. It's about global citizenship, how to be builders of peace. So Claudia is writing, most Italian brands are too expensive for everybody. So during our programs, our formation programs, during this transmission, we heard about phase 2 of the coronavirus. So there are 5 ways that we can reuse our clothes. So it's true, there are ethical makes that have different prices to commercial makes. But I think that first of all, we can limit buying things that we don't need. And so we can direct our purchases to ethical brands. And then I think that it's important to remember where the raw material is coming from. So there are many nations in Africa and Asia which produce cotton. And their economic activity is based on cotton. So we should respect the work of those who come in the production chain of textiles. So then we should promote equality between all of those who are producing and who are buying. If you go on Google, you'll find lots of ethical makes, and you'll be able to, they can be delivered to your home. They're not necessarily terribly expensive. They often have sales that you can take advantage of. So we can take advantage to purchase products of low cost and which are ethically produced. So now we have our friends in Burundi, in Kazobu. Manuela, perhaps you can help us. So this is the question. Can you explain how the microcredit system works? So Kazobu accompanies communities developing. It helps provide funding. Before working with the community, we start with some people there. We educate some people about our methodology, which then we teach to the whole community. First of all, the people come together. The people try to save, and then they put their money into a fund, which then they can manage among themselves. So when they get together, they begin an activity, and then they make some money, and then with these activities, they pay some interest. And after a year, they can share the fund with interest. So there are between 10 and 25 people in these groups, and they work together. And after a year, they try to share everything. And they try to look together how to go ahead. So it's a cycle of a year. After a year, they go ahead. So we are still in Africa. Emanuela, you came back from a mission for AMO in Africa. Claudia is asking, did you ever think of setting up infrastructure to allow Africa to be independent from the production point of view and not depend on others? So thanks, Juliana. Well, in this last year, AMO is working on a sustainable system to help Burundi in the food sector. It's clear that before we start to intervene, we need to study the context. We need to see what the local population produces. So together with Kazobu, we are starting to have a big program with regard to food security. And we are considering different types of agriculture, both aeroponic and also using water techniques, because this is a country which has drought, and then on the other hand often has floods. So there can be solutions and we're studying the project. So we hope that we will be soon able to have formulate a project. Thank you. So I can tell our friends who are listening, you can stay up to date with our site, and you can see how we're getting on with our activities and our projects. So another question is, what is the challenge for the projects during the pandemic, and especially with regard to Ecuador? Maybe Sir Angelo can tell us something about that. Well, now I think that the biggest challenge is to provide food for families in need. In these places where we are working, there's not very much work. Previously, there was tourism, but now there's not much tourism. So I think that now the emergency is to be able to buy medicine and food, to bring medicine for the sick people, food for the families. Then I think there will be a challenge to work with children and young people, because it's a place where there are not a lot of opportunities, and young people are often victims for the various challenges that happen in poor societies like this. So we need to bring food to the people, because we are starting to have a scarcity of food, and we need to look after the young people in a new way until we find a vaccine for the virus. Thank you, Sir Angelo. And this reminds me of what we're doing in AMU when we hear from our projects around the world. Maybe Francesco can tell us something more about how we are living this health emergency. Thanks, Juliana. Well, I can tell you that all of our projects, which were underway over the last few months, when the virus started to spread, our projects started to modify to respond to the needs of this moment. In many countries in which, from a health point of view, the situation of the epidemic hasn't had such a big effect on the health of the people, but the economic consequences are very serious. In many of these places, there are no support systems. There are no interventions which help workers who have lost their jobs. Many people live on a daily basis. They leave their homes to earn something to be able to eat that very day. And if they are not able to go out of their home, they cannot earn anything and they cannot eat. So all our projects, from Ecuador to Egypt, in many countries, our projects are trying to find ways to support people who don't have work. And so whoever is able to support us, who would like to support us, who would like to help us be close to those people who have lost their jobs and who are suffering because of this health crisis. And then as soon as we can, we will start again with all our activities. Thank you. Thank you. It's really encouraging for all of us. So I think we are nearly finished. I'm not sure if we have time for more questions. Yes, it's time to conclude. We can give our contacts, and you can stay up to date through our site, where you will also find the appeal for Syria. And it's www.amu-eu.it. And then you can follow us on our Facebook page, our Instagram page. You can write using the address on our newsletter, or you can write to our supporters at AMU. You can see on the screen our contacts. So thanks to everybody who joined us from all over the world. We hope that we have given you some food for thought, and we will continue to live this United World Week together. So we'll unmute everybody, and maybe we can greet everybody. We can have a global greeting. So bye, everybody.